2024. This is the Arlington County Board of Equalization hearing. 6 cases on the agenda. I believe the first owner is not on yet.
Hi, this is Kathleen Ott, and I've joined by phone.
Oh, you are? Okay. All right. So then we have Ms. Churchill also.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, then the first case we will hear is RPC 230430006, 311 South Taylor Street. Ms. Ott, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about the property.
I've lived in this house since 2017. My concern with the assessment is that my property value, particularly the house, went up by $53,000. And I have done no structural improvements to the home since I built a deck around 2017 or 2018. So there have been no structural improvements to the home. I can't understand how the property value, not the land, but the house went up by $53,000. And in looking at the other homes on my street, the property increased for them, total property, land and home, by 3.5%. Mine was over a 5% increase. And again, I'm perplexed by that. When I sent the appeal to the Board of Assessment, they came back with comparable properties, but never addressed why my increase was as substantial as it was. In addition, they compared my house to one at 130 South Pershing Street, and that was sold for $1.155, whereby I looked at some properties. There was one on 201 South Pershing that was sold for $1.089. And again, I think that there are other properties in the area that are comparable to mine that had property values which were less than what mine was assessed at. So in summary, that's why I am appealing.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Churchill for the county, please.
Good morning, everybody. On February 20th of 2024, an interior and exterior inspection was conducted on this property. There was a revised assessment last year when we visited it, and we reduced the quality from very good minus to good plus, which did cause the reduction on the 2023 assessment. This property is a 2-story brick veneer and cement fiber siding home with no basement. It has 5 bedrooms, 1 half bathroom, and 2 full baths. The year built is 1953, and the effective age is 2010. The quality is good plus, and the finished square footage is 3,404, which is one of the largest homes within the neighborhood. The appellant does feel the overall change of 5.2% is unfair due to the fact that no changes have been made to the property and that the average property in Arlington only increased about 3.2%. The appellant also states that 2 properties on her street only increased 3% for 308 South Taylor and 3.57 for 312 South Taylor. The appellant's neighborhood 508067 increased about 2.8% due to sales that occurred within the analysis period and within the neighborhood. The subject's effective age of 2010 appears correct due to the deck, a fairly recent deck extension, and the property's quality appears correct after reviewing sales within the analysis. After reviewing the 2 comparables submitted by the appellant, the property records do have some differences but appear in line and are equalized. The subject's quality of good plus saw a larger increase than homes of very good minus quality, similar to the ones pointed out by the appellant. As an example of this, also, 400 South Taylor increased 7% this year, which was only 3 houses away from the subject, and 501 South Taylor only saw a 0.9 increase. The subject and other good plus properties saw around a 12% increase on the improvement, but saw a 4 to 5% total change increase overall on the total value, which is slightly higher than the 3 to 4% increase that the very good minus properties saw. When reviewing this year's analysis, we saw that lower grade smaller homes saw less of an increase and larger homes saw more of an increase. Due to the review, corrections were made to the shed, open frame porch, and wood patio to match the subject's improvement quality. These minor changes of quality to these items will cause a slight increase that will be accounted for going forward. The subject's property percentage increase in assessed value is in line with properties of similar quality and is one of the largest finished square footage improvements in the subject's neighborhood. As seen on the comp sheet, there are 3 current sales that have similar effective ages, but are substantially smaller in square footage than the subject, but are close in assessment value. It is recommended that the 2024 assessment of $1,188,500 be confirmed as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both.
May I respond?
You'll have a
that,
second, excuse me, you'll get a
Okay.
chance to after we ask questions. So now it's questions from board members. Mr. Matzke.
Quick, easy one for the appellant. The department just gave the rationale on why certain kinds of improvements increased higher in your neighborhood and in general in the county than other grades of homes. Did you talk to anybody in the department about that? Why some went up more than others, even though they're direct neighbors? Did you have conversations in this regard, or is this new stuff for you?
Are you asking, did I talk to Nicole about that?
Yes.
No, Nicole came out to the house and looked at the house, and she was very gracious, very professional. I did the appeal, but her response in the appeal was just the comps. There was no explanation other than the packet of information that she sent that was, I don't know, 20, 30 pages long. But my concern is that the comparison.
No,
I don't.
Okay,
that's enough.
Okay.
The question asked and answered. Thanks.
any other questions? Just to confirm, Ms. Churchill, the reduction that was taken in 2023, I assume was taken off of the building.
This was a change last year when she filed the review. We actually found that there was needed to be a reduction in the quality. So that was on the improvement. Yeah.
Right. So I just wanted to confirm that's where it
Yes.
came off. So that,
Sure.
okay. All right. Ms. Churchill, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Again, I think the subject's property percentage increase in assessed value was in line with properties of similar quality and is one of the largest finished square footage improvements in the subject's neighborhood. The Good Plus did see, I think when, sorry. When reviewing this year's analysis, we saw the lower grade, smaller homes saw less of an increase and larger homes saw more of an increase. And this was due to the updates of our quality grade adjustments. Most very good homes saw an average of 7 to 8% to the improvement, but only a 3 to 4% total change, which is in line with the Good Plus quality homes. So it is recommended that the 2024 assessment of $1,188,500 be confirmed as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Ott, if you take 1 minute to wrap up, please.
Yes, I believe that the 12% increase on my home, and my home does not have a garage, my home does not have a basement, it has a crawl space. I believe the 12% increase when I had no improvements to the property seems unfair and is not based on any rationale. So I would hope that you guys would look at that and help me with an adjustment on it.
Okay. Thank you both. All right. It's just among the board members. Mr. Matzke.
Well, I thought the department's rationale was completely cogent, defensible, and I wish those two parties had shared it. Might not be here. I mean, we've seen that before. Certain styles or grades or neighborhoods do better than others, and that's that's the way that's the way mass appraisal works. I mean, this is perfectly legitimate in my judgment.
I'll vote to confirm. Original assessment, which was $1,188,500.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second? A second by Mr. Manskin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. The county is confirmed at 1,188,500. Thank you both. I believe we have Mr. King. Do we have one, Jen?
Yes, this is Yuan Chen. I joined by phone because my
Okay.
work
All right.
work computer blocked me. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and then just so the screen doesn't keep changing, Mr. King, can you stay on during the case? So all the rest of them don't populate back there? Okay, so the next case on the agenda is RPC 02001002 at 5298 Old Dominion Drive. Chen, if you start with your 8 minutes, you can tell us about the property, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. Also, definitely thank you, Mr. King, to come to do the appraisal. So basically, my husband and I, we purchased this property last October 13th, and our purchase price is $1,644,888. During the purchase process, we did the appraisal, and the appraiser gave us the reports, which at the value about 1650000. Therefore, we just want to see if the assessment value can be close to the appraised value at about 1.65 million for our property. And we have submitted the appraisal reports, which are the comparable units. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. King for the county, please.
Good morning, board. The property at 5298 Old Dominion Road is a two-story single-family home with 6 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, a finished basement, and a basement garage. The property was built in 2004. The property was inspected. There were some changes made to the quality as the property is now 20 years old. And then there were some small square footage changes. We tried to acknowledge the lower than expected sales price by applying an adjustment for the property being on septic compared to most properties in the county being on county sewer. We don't have a particularly robust data set of septic properties in the county. We've begun to maintain a list, but there just aren't that many to derive a market adjustment from for us. We applied a negative 10% adjustment to the land and the improvement to give some recognition to this factor, as it certainly is atypical for the market. The property was already receiving a negative 5% adjustment for its location on Old Dominion Drive. The comparables for the area certainly show a strong and much higher sales prices than the subject. Comparables 1 through 3 were all built around the same time and have less finished square footage than the subject, but have sale prices ranging from $1,815,000 to $2,170,000. Even comparable number 5, the closest sales price to the subject at $1,699,000, has 1,000 less square feet than the subject property. We believe that this appellant just got a great deal on the property, and this happens sometimes in the market. 1,644,000 is just simply an outlier for us in terms of mass appraisal. Mass appraisal itself isn't always going to be 100% predictive, but we feel that we've reasonably reevaluated the market value of this property with the adjustments made and asked for a confirmation of the revised value of $1,820,900. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from the board members? Mr. Maskey.
Just an easy one for the department. You have 3 properties on Old Dominion, fairly close to one another. The appellant's has a negative 5% value because of noise, but the others only have 3%. Why is that?
Let's see real quick. You looking at the map?
Oh, yeah, comps 1 and 3 have 3%.
Comps 1 and 3. Those are on Williamsburg. It's just a different road per our study.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. I made a note. I'm
If
sorry.
you look down to other line there.
Stop making fun of me. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Mendez.
For the appellant, when was the appraisal conducted?
I think during the purchasing process, let me actually see the reports. September 28th, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, any final questions? Okay, Mr. King, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Sure. We've made some substantial reductions in this property for 2024 to reflect that sales value. It was a late sale, so it will be included in the 2025 analysis for the neighborhood. But we just don't have a lot of data for septic, which seems to be maybe one of the driving factors on this lower than expected sales price. But the comps are strong in the area, and we feel that the revised value of $1,828,900 is a reasonable valuation for the property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Chen, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. We just would like the board to consider the appraisal price, and also it's pretty noisy, our property, because it's very close to the busy road, Old Dominion. So hopefully you can also take that fact into account. And definitely, I think Mr. King said the septic is another factor. But thank you so much all for consideration. That's all.
Okay, thank you both. Okay, it's just among the board members.
I think the county did a very good job adjusting the volume. It's really substantial, more than I'm used to seeing it. I think the value, considering what the neighborhood shows us as far as sales, more than reasonable. Also, this property sold in 2005 for $1,600,000. So going back to more than 15 years ago.
Wow. Good data.
I mean, it was new when it sold, but it sold well. I'm okay with it.
It's a pretty place.
Yeah, I'll share my analysis. It looks like this property is subdividable and it's on septic, and I wonder if it just simply you can't gravity flow, and so maybe it's unsubdividable due to the septic. And I don't think the county would let you do a hung sewer where you pump up. And so then I looked at lot values of nearby properties of comparable size. And they're like I found one of 980 and another of 946. Because what I was trying to think in my mind is, did the county go low enough due to the septic? And based on other land values, I'm okay with where the county is.
Anything different? Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make it. I make a motion that we, oops, I gotta get to the right page, sorry. That we confirm the county's assessed value of $1,644,888. I'm sorry,
No,
1,828,900. Sorry,
revise.
yeah, the revised.
On paper?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I thought the original was
Okay,
outrageous.
so
Yeah, it was too high.
county's revised number has been confirmed at $1,828,900. Thank you both. Okay. Mr. Earlier.
Northwest boundaries.
Okay, all right, next case on the agenda is RPC 02073124, 2300 Greenbrier. Mr. Kim, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about your property.
Is it okay if I share my screen? We prepared a slideshow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good morning, board members, Mr. King. My name is Peter Kim. I'm here with my wife, Ariel Yang. Full disclosure, she is a county employee. I'd like to begin by listing some mistakes of fact that were used in our assessment. Our townhome has 2 bedrooms, which is consistent with the county real estate records. But in the property description on page 2 of the memorandum, it states that we have 3 bedrooms. The finished area square footage listed by the county has always been 1646, but now has changed to 1671 without measurement or disclosure by the department. Same issue with the increase in base square footage and our deck size. And as you may have read in the memorandum, The department begins its explanation of our assessment by stating that there were no townhome sales near us within the analysis period. So they used sales data from surrounding neighborhoods in estimating our townhomes value. These neighborhoods consist of single-family homes only, including some new constructions. The department reasoned that the increase in home values in these single-family neighborhoods applied to our townhome. This is inherently flawed and inequitable methodology. Even the department acknowledges this on page 4 of the memorandum by stating townhomes and single-family homes are rarely going to be compared, despite similar features and sizes, as there can be different markets for each style of housing. The Code of Virginia requires that we provide proof that our assessment is not uniform in its application. As you can see on this table, the 2-year increase in 3 townhomes within our neighborhood is 2 to 3 times greater than the townhomes within a mile from our neighborhood. The rate of increase in our neighborhood is not commensurate due to the fact that the department used single-family home sales data. In addition to incorrect data and flawed methodology, the department discounted the best comp from our own neighborhood by stating that it sold beyond the analysis period. Instead, the department proceeded to use comps from other townhome neighborhoods that were also sold outside of the analysis period. We disagree with how the department derived our assessment. Rather than comparing our home to townhouses in other neighborhoods, we propose using the sale of 2311 North Greenbrier Court, which is in our community, to estimate our home's fair market value. This is because our townhome neighborhood significantly differs from the comps provided by the department due to these characteristics. We have no private outdoor space. We have no driveway. We're directly off of Langston Boulevard, which is 4 lanes, which consists of 4 lanes, and our lot size is considerably smaller compared to other townhomes. So allow me to show you how we've arrived at our home's fair market value. The county's assessment history of our neighborhood shows that the home values have increased every year. The sale of the comp that I just mentioned, 2311 North Greenbrier Court, falls in the 2025 analysis period, but is already $12,200 less than its 2023 assessment. This suggests that the townhouses of our community have been overassessed in 2023 and 2024. Furthermore, unlike 2311 North Greenbrier Court, our home is 20 feet away from Langston Boulevard and should receive a -5% adjustment based on a recent study, which the county did apply. We proposed our 2024 assessment to be between $760,000 and $800,000, which falls between the 2022 assessment and recent sales price of 2311 North Greenbrier Court. Now, we understand that making a determination based on one comp is not ideal, so we'd also like to go over a few additional comps provided by the department. You can see here, these 2 townhomes were sold within the same week, and we provided 2005 North Buchanan as a comp, but the department discounted it because our home has 1 more half bath. Instead, the department chose to use 2022 North Buchanan Court. But we want to draw your attention to how much larger the finished square footage and lot sizes are compared to ours. For example, the lot size of 2022 North Buchanan is almost 300% larger than ours, with a large fenced-in back and side yard. It also has 1 more bedroom than our home. Despite this, it was assessed lower than our home. Furthermore, 2005 North Buchanan sold for considerably less than our assessed value. And here are 2 more comps provided by our department. Again, both of these townhomes are significantly larger than ours, as you can see in the chart, both inside and out. So neither is a good comp, yet 1818 North George Mason Drive is assessed at $66,000 less than our home, even though it has 2 more bedrooms and the lot size is over 350% larger. Here, we apologize for not providing photos of what we're describing, because we just didn't realize that we needed to supply these photos when we submitted when we initially submitted the appeal. However, we have prepared additional slides if the board wishes to see them. As a potential buyer, there are many methods of comparing homes. The most simple and objective way is to look at the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, finished square footage, and lot size. This is how most real estate sites present each property. And additionally, since the pandemic, outdoor space has become even more of a premium that buyers consider. Our home has 0 private outdoor space. Our lot size only consists of land on which our house is built. Looking at these other townhomes, they all have very substantial and desirable outdoor space, and yet our land is valued at 2.5 times to 5 times more than these comparable sales. So in summary, the department has overestimated the value of our home due to its flawed methodology in using single-family home sales data, inaccurate facts of our home, and discounting the best comp available. We propose our home's 2024 assessment should be between $760,000 and $800,000 based on the closest comp of 2311 North Greenbrier Court. And in addition, there's no valid reason for the increase in square footage of our property. We live in a townhome where this is not possible. We only discovered these changes after reading the memorandum. Isn't an accepted practice for the department to change square footage of a property without measurement or disclosure to the owners? We also noticed a couple of our neighbors also had their square footage increased, and they were not made aware of these changes by the department. If this is not an accepted practice, we request that our measurements be changed back to the original. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you. Mr. King, first let's take the shared screen down. Thank you. Can you take that portion down too, please? Thank you. Okay, Mr. King for the county, please.
Sure. Good morning again, board. The property at 2300 North Greenbrier Street is a 3.5-story unit townhome. Mr. Kim was correct. It is 2 bedrooms. We had the valuation of 2 bedrooms on the property worksheet, just typed it up incorrectly as 3 bedrooms, but 3.5 bathrooms. The property was built in 1996. There were some slight square footage changes made to the record. We did measure the exterior of the property. So I think it was the overhang that there was a slight 1-foot adjustment on there. So they did see that change, which will be applied to everybody. It's just something to get out there and update the rest of those records. But that was the change on the square footage for that. The neighborhood of Greenbrier Court had no sales between September 1st, 2022 and August 31st, 2023 to base our annual adjustments on. So in cases like this, we'll look at past data and also the surrounding area to derive any necessary adjustments that the market might be seeing. As we value our townhome neighborhoods in September of 2023, the most recent sale in Greenbrier Court before that had been 2405 Greenbrier Court, which had sold for $870,000 back on June 1st of 2022. And then on average, the properties in Greenbrier Court saw a positive 5% change in 2024 compared to 2023. The single family neighborhoods around Greenbrier Court ranged in changes from positive 4.8% to positive 11.3%. And the nearby townhome neighborhood of Harrison Place saw a positive 6.1% change. So this sometimes in years when we don't have much information to go on, we do look at what the changes are in the surrounding market to give us an idea of how we should make a change if we don't see any sales in a neighborhood. Some of the appellant comps for single family homes and side-by-sides. There are different markets for these kinds of places. As I wrote, a townhome isn't always going to be worth less than a single family just by virtue of being a townhome. The late sale of 2311 North Greenbrier Court in the appellant's neighborhood, it was for $810,000. This sale was open market. It'll be used in the 2025 analysis for Greenbrier Court. It simply wasn't used this year due to the timetable we work on for generating annual assessment values. The subject property had a pre-existing adjustment on the land of -4% for its location along Langston Boulevard. This was revised to a -5% and then also applied to the improvement for the impact of the busy road on the property. But with these changes in mind and the fact that the late sale for the neighborhood will be used in the 2025 analysis, the department recommends a confirmation of the revised 2024 value of $856,800. Thank you.
Thank you both. Questions from board members?
Yeah, Mr. King, when you measured, you say, did you go from corner to corner, or how did you measure?
On the exterior of the property. So yeah, I mean, from the corners of the property, and then there's an overhang that was, above ground level. So we kind of
Did you deduct for the width of the exterior walls?
It's a little different. It's a little difficult sometimes for N units. We try and equalize them all between the same width, so that we understand that the houses are the same inside, even though N unit might be slightly larger measured from the outside.
On the sketch worksheet where you have the areas, you have 1, 2, 3. The third item down is WDDK upper 35. Is that a deck?
Wood deck, yeah.
Why is that considered finished living area?
That's not. That's a deck. It's under exterior features.
Is it part of the 1671 square feet?
No.
That's it for now.
Any questions? Okay, all right, Mr. King, if you take a minute to wrap up.
Sure. So we do acknowledge that the 810 will be used for the valuation 2025. It'll be rolled into if there's other sales in the neighborhood also. We don't know what'll happen, but there were some slight changes made. We did expand that Langston Boulevard adjustment on the property. But the main thing for us was looking back at that 2022 sale and seeing that that was still at 870, and kind of basing our 2024 values up from there. So again, we recommend a confirmation of that revised value of 856,800. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kim, if you take a minute to wrap up.
Thank you. Yeah, we feel like we provided ample proof that our property is assessed at higher than its market value. We disagree with the methodology of how the assessor measured the exterior of our property and applied it as a finished square footage change. I mean, we're in a townhome. We can't expand the square footage, so that has not changed since it was built in 1996. We also feel that the assessment is not uniform in its application based on the department's own admission that that you can't compare townhomes to single family homes. Yeah, we just feel that the best comp is the sale that just happened within our community, and it was just 2 months outside of the analysis period. So as a result, we feel like the board should consider lowering our assessment to around 780,000, which is pretty much in the middle of the range that we previously stated. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, it's just among the board members. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll just kind of share my thoughts. I'm pretty familiar with this particular development, and this was get as many towns in this lot as possible. And I think that the owners have made a point that they're so close to Langston Boulevard, they don't have any area outside of their own footprint. And I think an increase in size really should not be made unless you're inside. And I don't know how thick the walls were, but most of them are going to be at least probably a foot. And so I think that adjustment was probably incorrectly made. I think this is assessment's a little high. Not exactly sure how to reduce it, but I do think it's high, and I'll see if anyone agrees.
I just will say on the measuring, I mean, that's pretty standard practice to measure the exterior. I mean, even farming penny
For living space, though?
well, you get the dimension of it.
Yeah, but you have to take out the exterior walls.
You'll do it.
Yeah, they do.
It's a standard. Because otherwise, just the time frame alone of trying to get somebody in there to measure every single thing.
I don't know if it's a material increase anyway.
It's very small, right?
But it's not floor space. Because you're dealing with closets and just walk.
Greg, on office buildings, though, aren't there several ways you measure?
There's a whole BOMA standard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah, whether it's
Residential.
party wall or outside walls.
Yeah.
Party wall. Here, I'd like to go back to the being so close to Langston Boulevard. I'm glad that there's, we see adjustments this week, last week of 3 for outside influence, 3%, 5%, 10%. I'm not so sure that, especially because it's so close to a very successful shopping center, that it should be a greater than a 5% outside influence factor for this property, because it's right there on the line. And I would favor upping it. I've never seen a 7 or 8%. 10 seems extreme. That's somebody living right at Arlington Boulevard as an example, but higher than 5 would be good. Does anybody think that's appropriate?
Ken, how about the fact that there's no area? There's no
Ground.
lot. It's just.
But it was there when they purchased it. That didn't change.
Right, but
And it doesn't change on the other ones that have the same similar.
But
I know some people get private space and these folks don't.
when you're looking at the comps, that's where I think it's at.
Yeah, I think it's tough that the comps that they use.
That's.
But when you look at the late sale, which I should consider, at least in the review process. It sold at 810, and it's assessed at 851.
It makes the whole neighborhood look overassessed.
Yeah.
Which is tough.
this isn't the best townhouse project in Arlington.
No,
I'm pretty familiar with it.
yeah. I mean, I think the whole neighborhood probably will have to take into some sales, either that last one plus maybe something this year, and that might help everybody there.
In other townhomes.
Yeah.
Is somebody buying a townhome? I don't think it should be compared to single family.
No, that shouldn't happen. So I mean, as far as this year goes, I was just kind of looking at it relative to the neighbors in Greenbrier and their assessments. Because that doesn't really, the late sale doesn't affect that. They've all been assessed, from 900 to kind of the most, in the low 9s, the most remote end unit away from Langston down to, if you take the other end units that are off the road, they're like 870, 880. And so if I put 5% discount on either one of those, you get a range of like 830 to 850. Just taking the ones that are not on Langston, and then deducting them by 5%. So I was kind of thinking just sticking with last year's assessment, just let it run flat at 844, 500, because that sale really kind of throws a wrench in methodology. But just leave it at 23, and then take another look in 24.
August 31st. What's the assessment?
I think it's end of August, isn't it?
What's that?
August 31st
August 31st.
is the cutoff date for assessment. Yeah. So this 810 price was probably determined just like on Labor Day weekend or something.
Right.
It's close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a flat assessment.
I could do that. I can see last year's. I looked at what you were saying as you move back in the property, it does stack well.
Yeah.
And they're not that far different than the others along Langston. So I thought about your 5% difference more, but I think next year it's going to change. And I think they need to look at this area a little tighter. I'd be fine with the idea of going last year's.
For you?
Yeah, I think not having any sales from, to compare to, I think last year we did. Also that, I think next year's assessment is probably not only the 18 sale, but the 2005, Buchanan, over 832, I sold in December. So, yeah, I'll be okay with that.
Okay. I'll motion to reduce to the 2023 assessment, which is 844,500.
Okay, the motion of the second.
I'll second.
A second by Mr. Gates, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is reduced to last year's assessment of 844,500. Thank you both.
Can I address the board? May I address the board one more time? This applies to our future assessment because they changed the square footage of our home without measuring. I mean, he says he measures the exterior, but he measured from the ground level for second level overhang. That's not a direct measurement. So I feel, because this is all data that that the assessor will use to calculate our assessment in future years. I don't see how he can increase the square footage with that kind of a inaccurate measurement.
Right, thank you. That's noted, and the director of the department is online.
Okay, thank you.
he'll address that with you. Thank you. Okay, do we have Mr. Torres?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you turn your camera on,
Yeah.
sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there we go. All right, the next case is RPC 01011002 at 2910 North Westmoreland. Mr. Torres, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about this property, sir.
Yes. Good morning, Ms. Torres, Mr. King, and board. The property on 2910 North Westmoreland Street has had no major updates or any updates for that matter in over a decade. As we were Mr. King came out and did a reassessment. There are a couple of things that I wanted to address as part of his assessment. I thought it was mostly fair with a couple of discrepancies. One, the gazebo itself has not changed nor has been updated, and frankly, it's probably not in the most favorable condition. But based on when it was originally built, its initial inspections by the county, they did take measurements. So I'm not exactly sure how the gazebo was increased in size with regards to its square footage, considering that there were no changes that have been made since the initial build and the original inspection that was done by the county. Changing its square footage now would ultimately render the county official who previously assessed it incorrect, which I believe all county officials do practice their due diligence. Other factors that I don't quite understand, that's probably because of my lack of experience in the assessment process, is how the effective age of the property can be increased by almost to, I think I went from 1953 to 1983, or let me give you the exact I have it here. The exact age increase is 1963 to 1983, which is 20 years. The interior of the property is exactly as I purchased it, with the exception of paint. The upper level of the property has had no updates whatsoever. Has all original kitchen, furnishing, bathrooms. Let's see here. One of the other factors that I wanted to highlight is that the comps, there aren't really, the comps that were identified in the assessment reports aren't really comparable to my property for a number of reasons. One, in size, in square footage, but also many of the properties that were quoted to include 6617, 6701, which are already fully rebuilt new developments. And were sold in 23 as a development purchase or purchased by a developer. So they likely paid a little higher in price than what its actual value was. To include the other three properties are again not equal in size and or square footage, either by land or by value. The last item I'll raise is the neighborhood it's in, or specifically the corner that it's in on Westmoreland Street and Williams Boulevard. There's an immense amount of foot traffic. There's a large number of accidents that occur there. I had a car pretty much derail itself and jump on my lawn at some point. I had semi trucks knock over the utility poles. It's on a regular basis. There are continuous accidents in that corner. There's a large amount of construction in that corner. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, the day that Mr. King came out, they literally had large machinery just digging holes into the ground. Construction's been going on there for 2 years. I have construction equipment that's permanently permanently affixed outside of my house, where the construction, I guess the construction crews of the Arlington area store all their equipment. Literally storage sheds that are just kind of planted there, which I haven't complained about in the past, but nonetheless, there are potholes all over the floors and all over the roads. Damaged my tires and my vehicle numerous times. So all that to say that while the neighborhood itself does retain its value and has a per square footage amount, that corner for which I live in, and that intersection in itself is not equal to the conditions of the rest of the neighborhood or the surrounding areas. Let's see here, I think. So in lieu of this, because the comps are not comparable for the reasons I've mentioned, in addition to the conditions of the particular intersection for which my house is adjacent, along with the permanently affixed construction storage equipment that's literally parallel to my property as an eyesore, considering that the gazebo has not grown in size. I am requesting that the property be assessed at its original assessment value 4 years ago, or 3.5 years ago, at 796,000. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. King for the county, please.
Good morning again, board. The subject property at 2910 Northwest Mullen Street is a one-story single-family home with 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, and a finished basement. The property was built in 1953. There were some changes made to the property record after inspection, as the property had not had its interior information updated in some time. The fireplaces were converted to gas. A laundry sink was added to the record. We sketched the shed. There were certain things like that. But being a smaller property with not much value on the improvement, the comps are going to be the stronger part in showing value. This area has a strong market for these older, smaller homes, both as regular purchases, but also as teardowns for new builds. Probably the most prudent comparable is comparable number 12811 Northwest Marlin Street, a few houses down from the subject. This sold for $940,000 in June of 2023. Similar size, finishes, bedroom and bathroom count. Comparable number 2 sold a bit farther up Williamsburg Boulevard in March of 2023 for $955,000. Similar style and room count again. Even some of the marketed and off-market land sales saw high prices in the area. Comp number 3, 3100 North Toronto Street, sold to a builder in August of 2023 for $1,020,000. Comp 4, 6617 Williamsburg Boulevard, sold to a builder. These were all listed. Comp 3 was listed. Comp 4 was not marketed, but it sold to a builder in August of 2023 for $1,150,000, and so on. The property is currently getting a negative 5% adjustment to acknowledge the noise and business of the area. It was loud when we were there. We did acknowledge that. But with those changes made to the record, we feel that the strong market for land and one-story houses in the area indicates a reasonable value for the property, and recommend a confirmation of the 2024 value of $905,100. Thank you.
Thank you both. Questions from board members? Mr. Metzger.
A question for the department. On page 3, number 5 changes the subject. The bottom part, improvement value from up to 125,000, but on the chart on page 5, it's still the 109.8. Is this for next year's changes? Is that? And then the one below it as well, the total value from 905 to 920.
Yeah, so I mean, for the comp sheet, we're because we're recommending confirming the value because it went up some. So we're recommending the confirmation of the original 2024 value. But for changes to the subject, it's to show that there were changes made. Internally, if we were revising this to go up, it would go up based on those changes. But we're confirming the original value. So this is kind of your
baseline for next year, these 125 and the 920.
Sure. So it'll start from those attributes that we've applied to the property. The 125 can fluctuate, but the effective age and the measurements and those sorts of things will apply for 2025.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, any final comments, Mr. King?
Just that there's a strong market in the area for these one-story homes. Some are lived in, some are torn down, but they are above, 950 up into the million range. And we are acknowledging the busyness and loudness of the area with the adjustment on the home and land. Thank you.
Mr. Torres, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Yes, again, I'd like to just kind of foot stomp that, again, while the neighborhood and its comps are high, they're in high demand. My property specifically, which is unique to, I would argue, the entire Arlington, and especially zip code, has permanently affixed construction storage units that are adjacent to my property. It's an eyesore. I have dirt and grime and machinery that permanently they store their bulldozers and it's literally all it's like I'm in a warehouse district. So I will close with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. All right, it's just among board members.
Like the county's assessment. I think it's very well.
What about the appellants? I didn't realize, unless somebody can correct me, that it's permanent. I mean, it's a station. I mean, lots of times we talk about outside influence. Well, you bought the house and the influence was there. I'm not so sure that this is the case here.
It's the underpass.
Yeah.
Going underneath 66.
Yeah.
And they pretty much lined their equipment along that side of the property.
Are they doing?
Yeah, and I don't even know where they're doing it because I think they're not doing it there.
I didn't see.
They're doing it, it's repainting everywhere else.
But so it's in theory got to be
That's
temporary.
a section they could use.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's out of the way.
And one more point, gentlemen, and ladies, that
Excuse
a lot
me.
of the
Excuse me.
a lot of the equipment is
Excuse me, please.
illegally parked.
I'm sorry, it's just among the board.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the answer is it's not permanent. It's not a storage shed like on Columbia Pike and Washington Boulevard or whatever,
No, it's just.
by the Sheridan. Yeah, it's just going through.
Any work in the area, that's where they're putting it.
Yeah, and it'll go away.
Eventually, theoretically. It's a tough lot. It is different than if you work your way up Williamsburg, 2 or 3 houses. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
Right, I agree, but I also think now having the interior inspection, there have been upgrades. It's really been underassessed.
I think when they,
probably for previous years, so.
I think when it was sold,
Yeah.
they did some renovations in it, and I don't think that got accounted for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it, especially when we're coming off talking about, townhouses on busy roads that are right up at the same assessment. Like, this is a single family home on a 10,000 foot lot in Arlington. Yeah. It's really hard to find something under $1 million there.
Well, it says there was an interior inspection.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said there wasn't.
No, there was.
It wasn't at the sale.
So they've caught it.
And the recent one, not back when all the work was really done.
I see.
Landscaping would go a long way on that property.
Noise barrier, landscaping.
Yeah, and you're sitting there next to 66 too, but that's what they're getting credit for too.
Yeah.
Then I will move to confirm the county. Second. Tremendous. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, the county is confirmed at 905,100. Thank you, gentlemen. We have Ms. Vitus.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, and do we have Mr. Meeks? Neither of your appellates are on, so we will just go ahead and stick with the schedule. So the next case on the agenda is RPC 37002026 at 1709 Army Navy Drive. Start with Vitus and tell us about the property.
Sorry, I'm a little taken off guard that I don't have anybody here. All right, the property is a 2-story brick house with 3 bedrooms and 3.5 baths. It was built in 1939 and currently has an effective age of 1950 and a quality of good. The appellant is concerned with the increase in value when the house is old and has not experienced any remodeling or improvements. Over the past few years in this neighborhood, we've observed that the land values have increased. And during this year's analysis, we saw that the market was kind of steadying out on land, so we decided to take a bigger look at our improvements. Sorry, I am all over the place right now. During this year's analysis, it showed that the land values were holding steady and the market values increased, while market increases had slowed down. The cost tables in this neighborhood were recalculated to take into consideration the rebuild costs and other, and can I start over? I am so sorry. I am like nervous as heck right now.
Gosh.
Yeah, sorry. What's going on? So, hey, George, can you take over for me, please?
Sure. So yeah, just going again over the property description, 2-story brick house, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. We have a year built of 1939, an effective age of 1950, and a quality assignment of good. So just in general, on this property, what we saw in the analysis was a slight increase to market value. And over the past couple years, what we've observed is when we see significant increases to market value, we've increased both land and improvement. There was a slight decrease to the increases that we typically saw for this neighborhood. So we decided to leave land values where they were and only make changes to the improvement value. For this neighborhood, you'll see different improvement value increases. That's dependent on the quality assignment for the home. So lower quality assignments will have seen minimal increases, while higher quality homes saw higher value increases. We took a look at the subject and the other properties within the neighborhood, made sure they were equalized, and changes were made to the property record. And just wanted to confirm that there is in place a -5% adjustment for the subject property being on Army Navy Drive. And I think one of the comparables has that adjustment as well. But I would just ask the board to take a look at the comp sheet, the assessment value, the comparables provided, and please, we ask that the department confirm our assessment of $1,076,200.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board members?
Good one. For comp 1, specifically, it says comparable 1 sale, and then the sales is in 2020. So either it's an assessment comp or a sales comp. Is there a typo here, or what's up?
Let me take a look at that. I know this.
Sticking in.
Let me look at that right now and see if it is a typo. We typically don't like to use sales that are that old. No, I believe that is a typo. It should have been, the sale is from March 2022, and has a sale price of 1.16 million.
See how good you went back to the prior sale. Well,
yeah, I apologize for that. So when we create these comp sheets, sometimes it pulls the incorrect information, and we try to go through it to make sure we're using the correct sale information, but that sale date and price is wrong.
Okay, would you take a minute and just wrap up, please?
Sure. I worked with Tress on this one. We looked through the property. We made sure the property record was correct. We made sure that there were comparable properties in this neighborhood that had similar assessment values. We looked at the sales to make sure that we could prove that fair market value, and that we could demonstrate equalization. And we did that by providing comparable 3 as an assessment comp just to justify equalization. But we ask that you please confirm the value. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone on the board? wish the appellant was here because we do seem to have an ongoing theme this year where people say, oh, there's no improvements to my property, so why has it gone up? Which if the market is going up, the rest of the houses have to go up as well. So
That's what I was hoping, is a little bit more dialogue at an
Right.
earlier stage with the department and the appellants. This is how mass appraisal works. And this is the neighborhood. We don't need to spend our time on this.
right, and I mean, when you look at it, it's, you know, less than 19,000, it's 1.78% increase. You know, I don't think the county's out of line on it myself.
County's good.
And now that comp one's explained, it's now, because that's a good comp. I mean, it's
As we look at the comp threes again.
Yeah, but that's an assessment. Comp one's a sale. You know. But you're right. I mean, it's also a good comp.
Yeah.
Right, I will move so confirm the county. Second. Motion and second. Mr. Penranda, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. County is confirmed. Or, I'm sorry, the revised number for the county, 1,076,200.
Yeah, no, it's cool views, cachet.
Thank you.
Yes, it wasn't-
Okay, the last case is RPC 31002020
know that.
3013 18th Street West. Record will show that Ms. Turner is not in attendance. So, Ms. Vitus, if you'd like to tell us about the property.
Yeah, sorry about that. So the property is a two-story frame house built in 2013 with an effective age of 2013 and a quality of excellent minus. Similar to the last case, the appellant is concerned with the increase to the improvement value, while the home has seen no improvement since the previous years. In the appellant's BOE application, they stated that they do not believe that the county's submitted comparables support their current 2024 value. And going into my write-up, I just want to make a quick a quick mark that there was a typo in there as well, and that the appellant actually saw a 10.54% increase, not an 8.8% increase. Again, just kind of similar to a lot of the other cases we've heard today, this larger than average increase was due to the cost table updates and quality calibration. In this neighborhood, we saw average and average minus, which are low range quality homes, see very little to no change in their total assessment, whereas the mid-range properties such as very good, excellent minus, excellent, saw their total improvement change closer to 10%. While the upper quality saw smaller percentages. This neighborhood is very unique in the sense that it has a lot of original homes and a lot of new construction homes, so it's not very homogeneous as other neighborhoods in the past have been. Because of this, these cost table updates allow us to better articulate and see and create what we call vertical equity throughout the neighborhood, so that we can better account for the different qualities within it. Looking at the comps that we've submitted, they are two comparables that one is superior to the appellant and one is inferior. The superior property, 3011 19th Street, is a new construction build, which was off market. Because the subject was a 2013, which is one of the newer builds within the neighborhood, even though it is over 10 years old at this point, we just were curious to see what new construction in that neighborhood are going for. Looking at that record, you can see that it is similar size, similar bedroom, bathroom counts, and a slightly higher quality. So looking to that, we can see that what superior homes in the neighborhood are selling for. And then on the other side, looking at 2181 South Glebe, which is an inferior to the subject, we were able to gauge what smaller and superior homes were selling for. Well, it did sell for less than the county's assessment. It was still within the standard sale to assessment ratio. Looking at the two comparables in tandem, the subject falls in line with the current market value and appears to have the correct quality and effective age. We also use the direct neighbor, which is the same footprint as the subject, to show that both homes saw similar increases during this year's assessment or this year's analysis. The only thing done to the subject during the review was that a 100 square foot brick patio was added. It again, just in summary, it is recommended that the board confirm the 2024 assessed value. Thank you.
Questions from board members? Mr. Federer.
I only have one question for Ms. Titus. On your record, what is the main difference between the subject and the one next door, 3015? Because the one next door is assessed a little bit lower.
So looking at the two,
Lots
I,
of.
bel I believe it just comes down to the lot sizes and the land value, is there's a slight difference in the lot size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
This is a non-conforming R6 lot. Is there any kind of discount given to the land? Or is it just basically the size, like pro rata size discount over any other lots in the neighborhood?
So yeah, there's no discount applied other than our normal configurations for it.
Mr. Metzger.
add on to that, 'cause we see this a lot, but it's non-conforming, which means, does that mean they can't ever build an addition to it?
The building's there.
No, that's why an addition,
Yeah.
or if it's a tear down.
I don't think they have room
It's
on
not
that
very
lot
old.
for any kind of addition or even shed.
Yeah, it's also a double frontage.
Yeah,
Here's 6,000 square feet.
it's under.
I
yeah.
mean, like any assessment, we're looking at what is currently there, not at the potential use of the land. So
Good
when we're
answer.
looking at it, we're acknowledging that there is already a property there.
Good for you. Okay, good answer. Thank you.
All right, any final comments, Ms. Freitas?
Again, in reviewing the property, everything looks correct and we asked to confirm the 2024 assessed value. Thank you.
All right, it's just among the board.
It is a double frontage lot and it's slightly undersized, but I think the county's done a good job.
Where's double furnace?
Oh, you got two front setbacks, so you can't put a garage in the back.
That
Or a
ever counts
shed.
that way?
What does two front setbacks mean?
Your double frontage, you have a road in the front,
Oh,
road in the back,
oh.
so.
It's gotta,
Oh, I didn't.
because you got access from 17th, so you end up with the driveway and
didn't
garage
notice
built into the
Oh,
house.
Yeah.
I didn't go right.
It's not that
I think it's double
locked in with
frontage. I
the
didn't,
driveway.
I mean, I was okay with the county, so I didn't
They
investigate.
have two front setbacks,
Yeah.
larger than a rear setback.
Yeah, so you can't put a shed in the back.
I'll confirm.
Right, very interesting.
Okay, all right, make a motion then?
Sure, I'll move to confirm the county's, original assessment at 1,339,000.
Okay, motion, do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Wilson, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You're opposed?
Yeah. Do I?
Okay, it's 6-1. Greg, with the county being confirmed at 1,339,000. Thank you. That completes the agenda. We do have one other piece of business. So having voted on the prevailing side last week of BOE case number 24, RPC 010101, I'd like to bring it back up for reconsideration. Need a second.
Second.
Just a second. Okay, so this case we heard last week, it's at 2749 North Wyoming Street. We voted 7-0 to confirm the county. Unfortunately, there was a problem with getting information to the appellant. Ms. Cannell was in the system and had an existing email address, and Rosa was sending it to that email address. Apparently, within the past year, the email had been hacked and she had a new email address, which was on her documents. So none of the information went to her. So she was not aware that there was a hearing. She is asked to be heard on her case. And so it has been rescheduled for June 5th. So we just need to prove that that's done. So I'm going to move to reconsider the second one. And Mr. Munoz, all in favor of rehearing the case? Aye. Unanimous, that will get moved to the schedule on June 5th, and I believe that Mr. Payne is also aware of that as well. So does anybody else have any other
Good stuff.
business before? No? All right, then we will stand adjourned at 10:10. Reconvene next Wednesday, May 29th, 9 o'clock. In person.
May 22nd.
Wednesday.
Thank you.
Wednesday here. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, Wednesday here.
And June 5th is a Wednesday.